Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable essay. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Sheesh, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.
And welcome everyone to the NECC stream here today. We are here with the Friday Hearthstone round of week 7 here in the regular season. My name is Orbital, joined here by Witta, of course. Witta, how you doing today?
Doing just fine now. Got to see some Formula 1 and some Formula 2 cars go vroom on my monitor today, so that's exciting for the first time in like half a year, and you know, like that is something that, you know, the world is healing, everything is nice. But we also have, you know, a couple, we have 3 Hearthstone matches coming up. I'm going to be on for the first one. Obviously, I believe the same case for you as well, Orbital. But we do have Stephanie, Jasmine going off CMU, going up against MoJoJoJo from the King's College.
Yeah, and this is a battle of differences, I would say.
Yeah,
1
absolutely.
and 4 is currently sitting at 7th place in the Emergence Division, with MoJoJoJo sitting at 2nd. So we're seeing Stephanie kind of try and grind out those last few games, hopefully making it into the top 6 to be able to move on into playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely right. Again, again, those fine margins right there. Again, one spot off. Well worth noting here. So I'm kind of stumbling over my words for a second. But let's just take a step back and look at the deck list brought out here. So Stephanie will be playing a bit of an aggressive lineup with something I guess you could refer to as a soul demon hunter with a few different card texts than you normally see in that list. Same goes for her face hunter, which is more traditional face hunter, not the new adaptation with the unnerf to Lepanome and to the Starving Buzzard that we've been seeing coming out on the other side of the field. But more of a just more like it feels weird saying old school, but what you would traditionally have expected to see prior to the patch.
Mhm.
Then there's the classic stealth rogue, again with a few more differences in there. Again, cards you probably wouldn't have expected too much to see there, but again, a little bit of an older list. And a Gibbling / aggro token druid Fane. It's a very different build, a very interesting build to watch out for. Looks like a deck that definitely could take a win. And for MoJoJoJo, Face Hunter, new and improved. You could say that the classic token druid with the Glowfly Swarm Arbor up top end. Looking at the classic Enraged Warrior, none that new Shao T nonsense with the Crab Rider and the unnerved charge in there. We're going to be sticking with the good old school double copy of Cochrane Elite, no Grommash as well. And the deck that everyone loves to hate at the moment, and no, I'm not talking about Priest, because that again would be my go-to choice for hating. We are going to be looking at the Libram Paladin here as well for MoJoJoJo. So again, we are going to be getting our band sorted out very, very shortly.
Yeah. So I do believe we will. And again, you were talking about how Stephanie is running kind of these outdated sort of decks, and in situations like this, what's the worst thing you would say can happen with these outdated decks? Like, what is the most shakeable detriment that can really flip these decks on their head, and the reason that you feel that outdated will always be outdated and aren't going to be able to pick up some of those wins?
Again, this will be very suboptimal very often, right? Again, so we do our bands on screen here, so we're going to see the Paladin band away, and we're going to see Demon Hunter band away. So like the thing is that a lot of those power spikes you are going to be expecting normally to be seen are not there, for example, right? The Bladed Lady would be an interesting one. But,
yeah, just a little. It definitely feels like when you're outdated, you aren't hitting as hard. Or sometimes even if you get the right card combinations, we could see possibly that great all-encompassing. You get that perfect starting hand, you get that perfect setup. Maybe turn 3 or 4, and yet it just doesn't. It's not able to do what you want it to, right? Maybe not that lethal combo that you might expect with some of the other decks. So we went ahead. We did go ahead and pick up that banned game. So once again, we are left with the Hunter, Rogue, and Druid for Stephanie. And on the flip side, MoJoJoJo. Last week, he did play against, I believe, another CMU. So also having his Paladin. So once again, running that Hunter, Druid, Warrior. And if you had to select some of the decks that you would prefer not to see first from these guys, what would you prefer not to be seen first? As obviously, as players win, they lose access to more and more of those decks.
Sorry, 1 second. So we are just fixing a few technical things. So again, yeah, I would expect the Hunter or the Rogue to be queued up first. But again, obviously, I don't really know too much. Obviously, I haven't watched Stephanie play a whole lot this season, so might be the first time she's on stream. I could be wrong. Obviously, MoJoJo has been on stream a couple of times, but I would probably just try to open up with the strongest deck. That would be like what I'm expecting. I was seeing the strongest deck go on. Because again, we're playing Conquest, right? So when we're playing Conquest, sorry, we get completely thrown off by this technical thing that I've been having to juggle as well. But like, so Conquest as a format revolves around you're not better than your weakest deck, right? Because you have to win with your weakest deck. So when you are playing for tiebreak, which you are in this specific format, because we are playing, the tiebreaker is in fact just overall game score. Playing your strongest decks regardless would be the best opener to go for due to that particular balance going out. Hence, I expect to see the Hunter, probably because that looks to me like the most refined list to me, right? As weird as it sounds, the Hunter being the most refined list for Stephanie. For MoJoJoJo as well, I wouldn't be surprised to see a mirror, but I actually would probably just expect to see either Druid or a Warrior queued up first. I think the Warrior itself, very strong deck list, right? We've seen this all season. We've seen it for almost like the past year as well. It feels like when I was going to casting at MH 2 years ago, this Warrior deck was pretty much already existing back then in a little bit of a different format. But again, it is what it is at this point in time. We're going to be going up here. We're going to be seeing a Hunter mirror up first. So,
yeah. Hunter, just like you said, two decks that can both cause a lot of confusion and cause a lot of chaos for both sides. Again, we're seeing basically the traditional, what might endearingly been called the boomer deck versus the adapted deck here. So starting out, we do go ahead and take a look, and not terrible starting hands on either side. We do see a couple Wolpers coming out for Stephanie. And it is going to be dropped, as well as MoJoJoJo actually is going to be starting out turn 1. Starting first, throwing out a couple bits of damage here with some 2/1s to start getting the board.
yes, again, with the more so the thing is, again, the deck that MoJoJo is playing is the more aggressive Hunter deck, and generally speaking, in aggressive Hunter mirrors, the more aggressive deck tends to win out. So due to the fact that it gets under, right? I guess again, yes, Stephanie would be able to trade in here. I would probably prefer to take the trades because right now MoJoJo probably doesn't mind too much of just going face. I would probably, so the thing is, right, as much damage as possible you can bank, the better. And yes, you're going to be taking a lot of damage on the flip back here. I'm not the biggest fan of these trades. They feel very unnecessary to me. And technically speaking, I would say arguably you just missed out on 2 damage for no particular reason here. The Felmors are going to come down here. I expect to see double Felmor come down, because if you do that, you ensure that your opponent only has 1 turn to play around, which is I don't know. It's weird because you don't really know what are you saving the coin for at this point in time, right? That's the thing that I'm looking at for right now. It's just ensure yourself a really strong power turn of 10 damage coming through in 2 turns time. You have full board control as of for now. There's no reason to develop this 1/1 tour guide, and the coin's not going to do anything proactive for you. So again, this feels like a sort of suboptimal turn, and I'm interested to see what this Face Stalker with the hero power is going to provide you, because if this in fact is going to be Explosive Trap, which I do believe it might have been, that's going to be an absolute godsend coming through from MoJoJoJo. It is indeed Explosive Trap, so that is going to be an absolutely massive outcome right now, because again, Stephanie's now forced to trade the board down, but can't trade the board down fully without having to utilize the kill command. Sends everything face here, and again, gotta see, they're gonna get the bad news. It's in fact going to be Explosive Trap, and again, it's worth noting this is open deck formatting, so the players do know what is in their opponent's decks 100% of the time. Again, yes, you could have expected that to potentially be Freezing Trap, you could have expected that to be something else, but again, Explosive Trap is actually the only trap in the deck, I do believe, so there's a 100% chance of finding that. So just a clear and obvious misplaying and not utilizing the information that you do have at hand. And playing with the information that you have is one of the most important things when you play Hearthstone. Because if you don't use the information that you have at hand, then what are you actually doing?
Yeah, and already dropped down to 5. You see that the Dormants are coming through, but the Seeker comes out. That Pack Tactics has been dropped, so some nice board holds, just a wipe of 5 and 5 together, but still that leaves a 2-1, 3-3, and it doesn't really look like Stephanie has a whole lot to be able to hold off against 5 health, gonna be put in a rough position.
And it's guaranteed lethal, right? Because the Cobalt Sand Trooper does 3 damage with its Death Rattle, so that unit is almost going to do 5 damage, right? So again, no defensive way, there's no healing in the Face Hunter, quite obviously. I can understand taking your time to figure out if there's any way, shape, or form that you do survive, but very much not the case. And again, yes, obviously that Explosive Trap play was pretty detrimental. Again, I can understand wanting to play around the Pack Tactics. Obviously, absolutely fine to do that as well, but the point that was still kind of bad, because I think that you just surrender your entire game to Explosive Trap. And when you're playing as a deck that is as aggressive as this Hunter build coming out of MoJoJoJo, it is it's very hard to fully come back again, right? Again, pretty expected result even when you're just looking at deck list. Again, the more aggressive Hunter deck takes the win.
Yep, and that is going to put that up on the board. So Stephanie, now realizing that maybe these decks will be hitting a lot harder and a lot quicker than expected, right? And you had called it actually using that coin much earlier, getting double dormants down might have been able to actually save against the lethal, having both of those 5/4s available, I believe. And you know, those little costly mistakes are going to be what makes or breaks this, right? Turn 5 and you're already out. Now you have to realize, okay, what else is it going to bring? Now you got to realize it's either the druid or the warrior. Both of those, again, pretty standard token druid and a pretty standard ranged warrior. Both of those, I honestly don't see Stephanie having a whole lot in the tank.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that especially the warrior deck has a fantastic matchup spread pretty much all around. It's worth noting that this rogue deck coming out of Stephanie was, prior to the patch, probably the strongest deck in the game. And it's primarily been due to the interaction between the two cards in the right side of her hand right now. I think this is a pretty greedy double keep. Full keep, so I should say. There's no wonder if there's no stealth, and there's no way for you to capitalize on your Ash Tongue Slayer. Again, something that I'm interested to see is actually how big of an impact does the mana change have. Okay, never mind, Spy Mistress off the top, going to be a fantastic draw here in particular, just to nicely round out the curve here. But the question now becomes, do you coin out that self-sharpening sword on turn 2 just to get that corrupt effect onto a Nitro Boost Poison and start to get that rolling? Or are you going to sit it out and wait for a second, just going to bank the damage with an Ash Tongue Slayer?
Yeah, it's just decisions here. And you have to realize Mojo is probably sitting on some fun setups. Gonna go ahead, throw down, like you said, not going for the self-sharpening sword, instead deciding to buff up that 6/1 and drop it. So Spy Mistress uncloaked, ready to take a very short beating if you're not careful, and that's immediately a couple bees coming out and having a blast here.
The bees not dying at an alarming rate right here. Only one of them goes down in this attack. So again, obviously, I will point out that I was definitely the correct line, banking the damage with the Ash Tongue Slayer, because again, what the deck does that Stephanie is playing is again, it's a deck that very aggressively tries to kill their opponent. And now again, like, look at the damage starting to slowly but surely ramp up in the hand, right? You're looking at self-sharpening sword, which again, it's a 4 duration weapon, and just over time will just become stronger and stronger. Double eviscerate to the face, I think, is the wrong tell to give to your opponent right here, right? Because again, yes, you put your opponent down to 13, but you need that self-sharpening sword to start to ramp up slowly but surely, because eviscerates, they will always just do that 4 damage regardless of how they're used. However, the self-sharpening sword takes a little bit of time to fully ramp up, to fully utilize itself, because again, gets that +1 attack for every swing that you do give with the weapon. So interesting decision here. I would just have taken it back, because the thing that's worth noting, you actually do less damage over time by going with this particular method compared to going with, and the things that's worth noting, the very important thing, this druid deck is very scary and does things incredibly quickly. And actually, just look at this right now. Solar Eclipse into Savage Roar is just going to do it here for MoJoJoJo, right? Solar Eclipse, this is going to be Savage Roar going to pull out. That's going to be 10 damage. That's going to be actually coming through from hand alone. I even did 20 if I can do my maths correctly. And even throws out a little bit of spice here with the 1 overlethal and the emote, as MoJoJoJo looking primed and ready to go 2-0 up in the series. Only has his warrior left to win with right here.
Another turn 5 victory for MoJoJoJo, really showing that he also understands his decks to a T, understands what the hands can do, and also getting some very nice hands to start out, right? Like, that is of course one of the things that you always have to take into account. But I mean, his decks feels very well balanced in situations where he is able to amplify that output very early on, and now we get to see if Stephanie can at least pull out one, right? You want to be able to at least show that you can hold your own, because I hate to bring it up, you know, that's not something that's always super fun, but the next matches honestly that she is playing is I believe the top seed in the emergence is I think week 8 or 9, and then the other one is against the bottom of the stack. So a little bit rough looking. Every win counts here for her, and maybe this is where the comeback starts, albeit maybe just a little hopeful there.
Like, yeah, obviously, it's worth noting that not everyone competes at with the same mindset, right? Again, some people just do it because they enjoy it. Some people definitely in there to win it. Again, I think the competing overall is a very giving experience. It's definitely have been the case for me personally, where I've competed on a variety of games, regardless of skill level. And yes, some games you might, have had the chance to become a world champion, totally didn't mess that up fully, and only became top 8 once upon a time. But again, sometimes, for me personally, right, whenever I'm playing shooters, I'm playing League of Legends, stuff like that, I am not very good at it, but I'll still compete for fun, right? Mm-hmm. And again, I think that's a good thing about what the NECC offers with the different divisions, right? Because you do get to somewhat regularly compete with people within your own sort of skill bracket. But again, having to play clean Warm Wall Challenger without removing anything does feel sort of bad, I say. Again, I don't necessarily fully agree with the opener that has been taken here from Stephanie, but I can understand why you would want to hold back the Dwarven Sharpshooter to at some point in time use that hero power in a defensive manner instead of having to use it just having that 1-3 on curve. Because this matchup is very weird to play out in specific situations. So, Star Leader coming down here. Generally speaking, going for a 1-10, tempting that into a 2-5 is a pretty strong curve overall. But now it's worth noting that that's a direct into a freezing trap. But again, that should probably been a read from MoJoJoJo, knowing that there's that 50-50 split between the few seats, 33%, 25% split even. Sorry. And that's probably the best hit coming out of that impressive Felmar.
Yeah, just lots of movement here from MoJoJoJo, and now we get to see what Stephanie has to work with. Again, having a little bit of time, understands that the Jawbreaker might come out, take out a significant chunk if you're a little bit worried, but gonna go ahead, drop the Animal Companion, and picks up a Huffer. So, little extra damage being run down, drops down to 24. And the hand coming out of MoJoJoJo here on turn 5 for him does pick up the Lord of Barov. So, gonna be able to utilize that 3 cost, possibly clear the board if he wants to, and actually hangs onto it. Nope, is gonna lay it down, drop them all down. A quick sweep means all that prep Stephanie did is for naught. Clear board once again. And, now Stephanie kind of wondering what can she draw. Demon Companion doubled up, so might be able to hold out for a bit.
Yeah, all the friends coming out to play right now, right? Demon Companion, Animal Companion, and another Demon Companion. So that's gonna be all the companions used right now. So gets that. Gets the Shima, gets the Huffer, gets the. Isn't it called Kellogg or something like that? I feel like
maybe Kolak. I'm not sure.
Kolak. It's called Kolak. It's called Kolak. Sorry.
Kolak. Okay.
I could BRB grabbing some cereal, I guess, but nah. These trades, I can understand why, right? Because again, the important thing for MoJoJoJo right now is just maintaining his life total. Because the deck that Stephanie is playing, it deals damage in specific breakpoints. Again, it's a very aggressive deck. It's not the Highlander Hunter of old where and on turn 7 there's going to be a King Crush coming down to my face, because yes, the Dynasty brand has actually come back into the metagame, right? It's been unnerfed again as a preparation for the rotation coming up, so it's back down to 7 mana cost, which means it has improved the power level of Highlander Hunter a little bit again, making it out to be a fairly strong deck, I would add. Interesting decision here, taking out the 3-3 rather than the 1-3. I can understand it again, but again, you also do open yourself up to a value trade with the hero power. And considering that Stephanie's hand is fairly empty, I wouldn't be too surprised. Okay, this is actually going to be really big now, because Stephanie's going to be able to go with the Eel Humbo plus the hero power for the trade onto the Saudi, to leaving this Volpatinger really untouched.
Yeah, just having that little extra setup here, as that's going to be a 3 dropped. MoJoJoJo still sitting with a 1/7/4. Ready to go with 8 mana. Can drop down the Blood Boil Brute. Does decide to drop 1 of 2 that he had in his hand, and it finally takes out the poor rabbit with horns. That's gonna be the 2 dropped. Let's see what Gosh dang it. The rabbit is back. The rabbit is back for better or for worse.
The Wolpertinger coming out to play. As the 1-1, not as scary as it is as a 3-3. But this should be dealt with fairly easily. But again, obviously, it's worth noting that MoJoJoJo hasn't drawn into an armor smith all game, meaning that his life total has been it's relatively depleted, right? Especially when you start face tanking these 1-1s, when you could have just played out the Risky Skipper in conjunction with a particular drop of choice. Again, you know, like, yes, there is an explosive threat to play around, but you don't necessarily mind your minions having taken this damage this early on right now. Imprisoned Felmore, not the best as of right now, but it's going to be like a looming threat, because it's guaranteed 5 damage. Where that 5 damage goes, and it will not, that Stephanie will still be alive come around turn 11, completely different question, right? But again, cutting class, ace top deck coming out here from MoJoJoJo, 3-mana draw 2, icons like pretty good. And another one of those fantastic Conquering Leads have been picked up now. That's going to be 4, 8, 13, 14.
I think 15, is that correct?
Do I count?
Because it still has the anchor. Yeah,
yes, indeed. Just for the record out there, guys, again, this is collegiate after all. I do not study math, so math is hard indeed. And again, it's worth noting that so let's think about how close this game actually was, right? Because definitely was like 4 damage off, like 2 damage off right there, right? 4 damage off overall over the course of the entire game. So with a few different things, there might have been a way out, but again, very quick 3-0 coming out of MoJoJoJo. A bit of a Patson maybe, right? You're talking about how you cast this guy earlier on in the season, and again, had a very, very, very quick and a quick fashion series at that point as well, right? So this guy just gets in, gets out, gets stuff done, and just moves on. So stellar gameplay, I would say, and not too many decisions. And again, the lineup choice again seems pretty standard from what you could expect. Do you have any other finishing notes, also, before we're going to be throwing this to a break?
Not too much, you know. MoJoJoJo definitely played it, and I think something that I do like in his gameplay as well, he doesn't contemplate, right? That's a huge thing, and that, I think, has a big mental advantage over some of his opponents. In these games, you are set on a timer once it gets to your turn, and, you know, utilizing your opponent's turn to also figure out what you want to do, I think is a big thing, right? Being able to figure out what you want to do, and yet MoJoJoJo does not allow his opponents to use his own time. As the cards come out, he knows exactly what he wants to do. Automatically, it's back to your opponent's turn. That actually speeds up and can cause some of those errors that you were pointing out earlier, right? Maybe would have used a different combo if maybe she had seen it prior, but once you have kind of that quick pace down, very difficult to slow it down afterwards. So MoJoJoJo taking advantage of that and still having very concrete decks to play with. So that will be it, I believe, though, for this first match. We'll go to a very short break for about a couple minutes, but come back at the top of the hour for our second Hearthstone match of the week.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable essay. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Jeez, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable. Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Sheesh, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.
I'm in a different part of my room. Usually I'm over there, but I cleaned and I moved my desk.
But
That's nice.
it's still filthy dirty behind you though. So
No, it's clean. I can vacuum.
okay, so our producer our producer just let us know that we've been on stream for at least a minute here, except he was muted. So there was your behind the scenes look at NECC production for Hearthstone. My name is Coach Jim. Let me introduce to you the laughing man himself, Ethan Dolan. Ethan, you've got an intro for us today.
I had everyone prepared. I was going to say welcome back to the NECC. Tonight, a rumpus at the round table as we've got a mashup of Monarchs on deck. The King's College clash between Fluffy Boy and Avatar Joe will fight to decide who's the greatest Monarch of them all in a mirror match made in heaven. Fluffy Boy and Avatar Joe, let's get it cracking. But, Coach, I preferred your simplistic intro much more tonight. On the nose.
Let's be honest. Mine also had the benefit of not being punny, so
No puns, just alliteration.
yeah.
Oh, no, but
man.
truly welcome chat. A bit of a rough start. We're gonna see if that transcends into the game. It feels like a night fit for a fiesta, if you ask me, Coach. After that start, after what we've seen some of these games in Hearthstone here, a lot of miss lethals, especially here in the lower divisions. We are in emergence tonight.
I mean, and you see Miss Lethal everywhere. I mean, sometimes it's just a problem of math. You know, if the math is wrong, the math is wrong. So you gotta be able to math. You gotta be able to math. Your teachers from elementary school that told you math was gonna be important, they were right. If you can't math, you're gonna miss lethal.
I choose to believe that my elementary and high school math teachers, when they told me that, were talking about Hearthstone. I choose to believe that in the back of their mind, like, yeah, this kid's gonna go far in Hearthstone. He's gonna need to be able to count lethal. So that's the news. If you're in chat and you're not in college yet, just pay attention to math. All right, don't miss lethal in Hearthstone. Just don't do it. Do your multiplication tables, little addition, subtraction. Get cracking. All right. In fact, after the stream, clear out an hour. Don't do it after the stream because we got another game after this one. After this stream, clear out an hour. Just do some multiplication tables. Sit down and crank those bad boys out. They'll pay dividends on the ladder.
In other news, I believe they're starting the ban deck game, so we'll get to see what decks do get banned here.
Yeah, Fluffy Boy going to ban that Druid list coming out the gates right there, and that means Avatar Joe will be banning that Demon Hunter that we are seeing. Fluffy Boy was bringing more of an OTK Demon Hunter list. That will be gone. On the other side, that Druid list being taken out was a Gibberling token Druid featuring 2 copies of Bees, my favorite way to play it. Those will be off the table, and that means that for Avatar Joe on King's College, what will remain is a aggro Demon Hunter list, a Hunter list that is very interesting, a Secret Hunter mashup, and this Tempo Druid list, also not like much that we've seen so far, featuring Self-Sharpening Sword, bit of a Weapon Druid, and on the other side, Fluffy Boy will be bringing out pretty much the same Secret Hunter list, pretty much the same Weapon Druid list, Weapon Rogue list, excuse me, but that Druid remaining with that will be a key right there, having that instead of the Demon Hunter as we are. They just quit, correct? Out of this game, we don't stick around for the ban.
We have seen some people play a couple of rounds, but as long as they know that we both can see what they're doing, they usually quit pretty quick after that. I'm actually really happy. Yes, that's what I'm talking about, Mr. Producer. So now that our producer has unmuted himself, the guy won't stop talking in my ear. But I'm actually glad to see the Druid ban. I'm not the biggest fan of the token Druid, not the biggest fan, just because it seems simple. It seems simplistic. I like to see a little bit more strategy in my card games.
Yeah, Token Druid is pretty low to the ground. I would say it's pretty similar to the Rogue, but I would agree, and for most of that sense, Rogue does have a few more tools, a few more tricks in the bag. There's a little bit of math involved there, comboing. You have to think about which pieces go in which order. I'm personally very excited to see that both of these Hunter lists did make it through the ban phase. This Secret Hunter list is a very different beast than we see from the Singleton Hunter, from that Highlander Hunter that we're very used to, dominant on ladder. I'm a big fan. I love running 2 copies of Animal Companion. I love being able to run 2 copies of Kill Command, and we're gonna see the mirror match of it right out of the gate.
I was gonna say, you've been talking about the mirror match, and as you were talking, I saw the decks come out. I'm like, Hunter v Hunter, here we go.
Hunter v Hunter indeed. Avatar Joe gonna have a very solid hand that's very low to the ground. That mystery winner on turn 1. You're gonna want to run that out, grab a secret on turn 2. Probably gonna drop down that Phase Stalker. There's a lot of explosive potential here from Avatar Joe. Gonna pass it on over to Fluffy Boy. Has a pretty similar low to the ground start. These two are just gonna be duking it out to start, Coach.
I really like Fluffy Boy's hand. I think if I was going to pick one, I would take Fluffy Boy's.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad hand. Ooh, solid deadly shot drawn right there. Wouldn't be surprised to see a trade on board. Going to develop the snake trap over the Face Stalker. Actually going to go face. The face is the place with the helpful hardware, folks, I suppose, to start off this one. Fluffy Boy will be past the turn here.
And let's see what they do. They have some stuff of their own here they can get a little bit tricksy with. I don't think they're going to go tricky combo yet. I think they're just going to make a solid play here and move on to round 3.
Yeah, a lot of opportunity, a lot of options in this hand when you do look at it. You've got some secrets. Is going to go with Scavenger's Ingenuity, snagging a beast from the deck. Going to pick that one up. Solid play off to start, taking it very slow. Notably, going to finally use that hero power right there. I believe that's a Phase Stalker that was drawn on there. Will be a massive Phase Stalker. All right, get the confirmation from Coach. Animal Companion coming through. We will get the Huffer. Once again, the face is the place. Not going to trade out. Going to keep on going. 6 damage marked onto Fluffy Boy. Has the secret in play. Avatar Joe is really playing the aggressor in this game, and there is pressure play. Not going to stem the bleeding too much. Hanging on to that explosive trap for later in the game. Fluffy Boy being very patient. That is just going to coin it out. So going for the value here drops them both.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Draws Explosive Trap on the other end. Now, if you're smart here, you're going to field out for secrets. Starts going for the trade. Probably knows Explosive Trap at this point. Is going to run Huffer into that one right there. Phase Stalker Hero Power is a solid value play right here. I don't see the point in developing either of the other 2 secrets at this moment in time. And there is the Phase Stalker Hero Power to boot. Going to draw a random secret from the deck. Very, very good stuff from Avatar Joe. They're in a solid position, but as Coach said, Fluffy Boy's hand, very solid here. Think about the Animal Companion, going to start off with the mystery winner instead.
Oh, and these are some good choices here.
Yeah, very solid secrets.
Yeah.
That's going to trigger the Snipe, however, and Snipe will be taking out a 1-1. Highly unfortunate. Avatar Joe wanted to get more value out of that one. Fluffy Boy playing that extremely well. Is going to find a Huffer. Opts to go for the face and not trade out with the 2-3. Scavenger's Ingenuity there. You don't want to play that first. That pressure plate will destroy your Phase Stalker. You want to play this carefully. Just gonna throw caution to the wind. I mean, you're gonna draw another Phase Stalker, but it's going to die off the crackback from this pressure plate, leaving you with 3 mana for the turn. Not a whole lot you're gonna want to do. I mean, yeah, you can play the Phase Stalker and buff it up +1/+1 more. Pack tactics, just waiting so you can get another Phase Stalker later on. Just going to go with Explosive Trap that will kill Huffer on the attack trigger here.
Assuming that we don't see a buff come across.
Absolutely assuming that indeed. Animal Companion coming through, going to get a Misha, not going to do a whole ton, and there is the Phase Stalker drawn off the tutor earlier in the game. Not the smartest idea to develop the board before attacking in. You're going to get some damage marked down, but only Huffer is going to die as a result here. Avatar Joe buying a turn free of damage, but Fluffy Boy's hand, Coach, you talked about it so good at the beginning. It's finally starting to catch some rhythm, finally starting to build up a little bit of steam.
Well, and the fact that they're both at 20 health. Like Fluffy Boy a little bit slower, but they're right there neck and neck. So I think depending on what gets top decked in the next 3 rounds, it's going to get really interesting really fast.
Yeah, these next 2 draws will be pretty vital here. 4/5 Phase Stalker maybe being put into play. You can Adorable Infestation as well to make it a 5/6. Going to hit the Steady Shot first to draw out a secret. We're going to see that come into play. Pack tactics being played as well. Trying to get another Phase Stalker if they do try to trade out. Solid play by Avatar Joe. Not playing too aggressive. Holding on to that Deadly Shot. Holding on to the removal in hand while passing the turn off.
And this is going to get interesting here. I think this gets interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about with this many secrets in play there, Coach. That will be an Explosive Trap, a Snake Trap, and a pack tactic. So that's going to trigger the explosive trap, killing the Misha, putting that Phase Stalker to 1. But I mean, the Phase Stalker, you're not trying to do much right here. The 4-1 can't turn into that 4-5 at all. You're probably still just going to send this face in the end, dropping out the rest of the board. Inconspicuous Rider there, going to cast a secret from Fluffy Boy's deck that will be a freezing trap, which is absolutely massive. That freezing trap, absolutely massive. This is going to curb a lot of momentum. You're hoping for a Misha off of this Animal Companion, most likely. You don't want to attack right away, going to try to pull a secret from the deck, but it looks like the well has run dry right there. Has the weapon. Adorable Infestation is once again just not going to be the move here. You're going to buff your minion. It's going to attack. It's going to bounce your hand with the freezing trap. Just not what you want to do unless Avatar Joe is playing incredibly slow, but it won't do it. Freezing trap. Going to send the Face Stalker back to hand. It's going to cost a whole lot more. It's going to lose all the buffs. That's absolutely backbreaking, Coach. Fluffy Boy just gained a whole lot of momentum, and it wasn't even their turn.
Yeah, no, that's, as you said, a whole bunch of momentum there. And that's a pretty decent draw for them.
That's lethal. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's lethal on the dot. That is lethal on the dot. Fluffy Boy should walk away the winner in game number 1 here from our Emergence Division in our mashup of Monarchs. As we said, there's the steady shot. Lethal on the dot. Had 3 more to spare with the Eagle Thorn bow in hand. Fluffy Boy taking it home. Coach, you called it out early. The hand was good. Not as fast as Avatar Joe's, but found that rhythm, found that stride, found the win in the end.
Well, was able to keep up. It was enough in hand to keep up, and then had it at the end. Avatar Joe, a lot of their stuff was early. They didn't have quite the draws that Fluffy had, and that's why I liked it. It was more of that mid-range. It wasn't the first 3 rounds. It was like 4 through 7 was where it was looking to really rattle off, and so I was really happy it went the way I thought it would.
Yeah. Bit of a patient hand, but you called it exactly right. We are going to see the rogue come out against Fluffy Boy's Token Druid, the only Token Druid that survived. This rogue list, very intriguing to me, this sort of weapon rogue. Going to toss the Hook Scimitar back, keeping the Sneaky Delinquent. And it has some elements of Stealth Rogue. I'm not quite sure exactly how to pin down this list. It's got some elements of a few rogue lists. Good start from Fluffy Boy here. Going to get a 2-2 on turn 1. That's the momentum that has to be overcome. I mean, Backstab is in hand, which can deal with it a 1-for-1 trade, but regardless, something to deal with right away. Going to get that backstab out of hand, eating some removal up.
I mean, and getting rid of removal is always a good thing to do, especially that early.
Yeah, absolutely. Dream Eye Guardians, very strong play here on turn 2. 2 1-2s with lifesteal. Going to drop the Sneaky Delinquent. 3-1. Doesn't trade phenomenally into those 1-2s, so solid stuff from Fluffy Boy. However, Adorable Infestation isn't a great play. You make that trade a lot better. Going to go with the Fungal Fortunes instead. Draws bees. Oh, and it's not going to draw enemies there. Straight value. That was big. Fluffy Boy's hand is one to be reckoned with here, Coach. If Fluffy Boy can develop the minions and drop these buffs, I think that Avatar Joe's going to have a tough time getting back in this game. Greyheart Sage coming through, going to draw some cards as well.
Yeah, and I mean, the card draw is going to help, but at the moment, with Fluffy Boy's hand, I really like the way this is going to go for him here.
And decides to go face right there. So leaves open the opportunity for Fluffy Boy to have a lot of agency on this board. We're going to see what does come through. Hovering bees right there. Might use to get rid of the 3-1. Might use to get rid of the 3-3. Will decide to not play it for the time being. Going to go with the Gibberling to start. Then going with the bees.
Good call.
Not super important there, but going to trade it out. I think very good call to develop the Gibberling. That's a threat that must be. Oh, because Spellburst.
Yeah, Spellburst.
Disregard everything I've ever said in my entire life. Gibberling there. Very good ordering. Getting it done. Fluffy Boy, I'm impressed with the mechanics so far, Coach.
Yeah, no, and that's what I was looking at. Like, looking at their hand, I'm like, wow, they've got some good combo potential here. And a really good board at the moment. Their board is hot.
The board is hot indeed. Another Greyheart Sage. A lot of card draw for 2 decks that are relatively low to the ground, that are relatively aggressive. So this is a very interesting match so far. Fluffy Boy has a lot of opportunity to buff the minions here. We're going to see what happens, but a full board is just absolutely dangerous. Here it is, trying to get a Discover. some very, very solid options here. Going to go with the swipe, which is good. You can get rid of that stealth minion in addition to killing one of the 3/3s. Going to start off with Power of the Wild. Makes the board just absolutely massive right here. Not going to be able to get any more Gibberlings. However, doesn't get the clone.
Is that?
It's not lethal, but it is a very solid turn. It's what, 4 off, 5 off, 5 off. Lethal.
5 off.
Fluffy Boy doesn't have anything for this.
I was looking at their hand. I was looking at their hand like, wait a minute, is it close?
Roguelists don't have much to deal with this. I mean, you can sap into Eviscerate.
I think that's it.
Yeah,
I think Avatar Scoop. I think that's Scoop.
You could deal 3, sap, Eviscerate. Yeah, I don't think there's any way to take care of this board. We're going to see a secret path to pick up anything. I don't see anything in the list. I've got the list on the second screen. Yeah.
This is Scoop.
Wow. Out of absolutely nowhere, Fluffy Boy gets the win, but that's the nature of this Druid list, right? We know that if you let any minions stick around, it's going to bite you. The amount of buffs, the amount of things you can do with a full board on this list, just absolutely ridiculous. And just like that, Fluffy Boy is going to be out to a strong 2-0 start, just has to win with this same rogue list that Avatar Joe's running right now to walk home the winner in a sweep.
And there's not going to be a scoop. We're actually going to see, you know, the damage being dealt.
Oh, the BM, Blessings of the Ancients brought out just for a little bit of extra. Second one, cast both sides of the twin spell, getting in there. Fluffy Boy, you know that's got to be a little bit fun. Playing at someone from the same school, a little bit of camaraderie, a little bit of, look how good my hand was.
Oh, yeah. I like it. I like it a lot. Here's my question. Do we see Avatar Joe play one of those 2 decks again, or do we see their 3rd deck?
I think that Secret Hunter is a solid matchup against Stealth Rogue. Explosive Trap is so powerful against Spy Mistress, against Worgen Infiltrator, against all these cards that have 1 toughness. I personally like it. We're not going to see that come through. Rogue Mirror. I don't like the mirror in the last one. I'm playing to my strengths, right, Coach? The mirror is a 50-50 to win. I mean, that's just the definition of the mirror match. So when you do this, you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage. You know exactly what Fluffy Boy is playing, right? You know exactly the list they're playing. Why would you not give yourself the highest win percentage? We're going to see if it does pan out. Avatar Joe's hand is phenomenal. Can start with that aforementioned Spy Mistress. I might even coin out the Worgen Infiltrator. I might say just hit max gas. Just toss it out.
Gotta be interesting here, though. Gotta be interesting.
Yeah, gonna be interesting indeed. Like I said, the mirror match, bold decision.
I think if it gets to round 7, that Fluffy Boy is gonna win this. But looking at the hands, if it's another one of those where Fluffy Boy has a middle rounds hand, and so I think if it gets to the middle, I think Fluffy Boy's got it.
Yeah, this Greyheart Sage is going to help a lot. Drawing 2 cards on turn 3 for a pretty aggressive deck is absolutely massive, and I think that's probably the play here. Yep, we'll pop up the Greyheart Sage. This gives you a lot of options for next turn. Draws a backstab. Doesn't even have to kill his own minion now if they don't want to. You can backstab that 3-1. Exactly what's going to happen. Crack in for 3 damage. Regain some of that board control, and decides to keep it stealth.
Yeah, no, that could work. That could work. There. If I recall the deck list right, there's some play with stealth minions.
Yes. So Ash Tongue Slayer in hand there at the far left gives a stealth minion +3 attack and immune this turn. So keeping around for some solid removal, which I respect. It's a very slow play. I do respect it though. Fluffy Boy just being very patient. I mean, knowing you just have to win this game, there's no reason to really go for it. Avatar Joe is the one in the hot seat.
I'm telling you, if it goes to turn 7, I'm putting my money on Fluffy Boy.
I think you may be right. Hook Scimitar coming through right here, probably thinking about attacking first for getting most value. Won't do it. Has the 4-2 weapon. Probably going to trade out with that 3-3 right there. Just going to go face. So Avatar Joe's saying, who needs the board? I am just going right for the aggressive play. Interesting stuff here right out the gate against 2 opponents that have most likely practiced and played with each other a whole lot. Ash Tongue Slayer coming through, going to smack, say, you know what, anything you can do, I can do better. Anything you can do, I can do too. Laying out a beating right there. 9 damage on the turn.
Well, and now you're looking at it, the board looks really bad right now if you're Avatar Joe. The board is not your friend at the moment.
Yeah, not at all. So think about Deadly Poison here on a 1 toughness weapon is interesting. You do have Cutting Class there as well, which draws 2 cards. So if you play the Deadly Poison, you can draw 2 cards for free, which isn't altogether too bad. It just doesn't feel like the greatest value play. That'll come through Cutting Class. Eviscerate played as well, just going straight face, absolutely holding nothing back. 6 damage here, there's Cutting Class. What can be found? Greyheart Sage, that could be big, but I don't know. This is so hyper aggressive. You're dealing 6 to face, maybe 8 if you crack in with the Infiltrator as well, but you probably don't want to. You want to keep it around so you can draw some cards there with the Greyheart Sage. Avatar Joe just playing by the seat of their pants, coach.
Well, and we know that on the next round, 12 damage is going to come through from Fluffy Boy.
Yeah, at a minimum, without
minimum
even
12.
saying, without even saying like maybe a weapon is drawn. I mean, the hero power adds another one as well, so it's 13, going straight for the face, dealing 6 damage, probably gonna hold on to that. Gonna trade out. Okay, so does indeed trade out, but Avatar Joe just playing such an aggressive style of gameplay. Not sure if it's going to pay off right there. Secret Passage will be played, looking for lethal.
That's sinister. Okay, so he draws a Sinister Strike. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh, it's there! It's right there!
That's gotta be
right there!
There's the Hook Scimitar, +2 attack on the combo, double Deadly Poison, going golly Miss Molly. Oh, he doesn't have the mana, right? That's 6.
No, he's not a mana.
12, 30,
But remember,
15?
But remember, he's gonna have a Sinister Strike coming back to his hand.
On the crackback, yeah.
He's got Sinister Strike coming back to his hand, and I don't think there's anything that can get rid of all 3 of those minions.
Oh,
there's nothing.
days.
There's nothing that can get rid of all 3. I think it's over.
That Secret Passage was absolutely insane. Has the sap in hand with the Eviscerate, can deal with 2 minions, coach. But you are exactly right. That is going to be all that was written on the story between Fluffy Boy and Avatar Joe. Wow, the mashup of Monarchs is going to come to an end in a sweep. A pretty impressive performance from Fluffy Boy. Played it everything pretty much correctly, a little bit slow for my taste, but hey, a win is a win is a win.
And I think they actually, if there's not a scoop here, unless they could do something crazy.
There's nothing in hand, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if they play their whole hand. Do you think they play the whole hand and then kill? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, for the BM for sure.
Oh yeah, there it is. There it is. Play the Worgen. Play it all.
Get it out there. Draw some cards. Let's mess around.
No,
not gonna play it all.
That's okay. That's okay.
Wow, what a
straight
series.
Straight sets. And there it is. And what do you know? We're out on time because we have a 7 o'clock match coming up and we're out on time. Once again though, Fluffy Boy did not have the better hand to start. It was not the better starting hand, but it was the better middling hand. It was the hand you wanted. It's like, all I have to do is survive long enough, and I win this game. And that's all he did. Three in a row. That's all he did is just, I just got to get past the first 4 rounds, and I'm good.
Yeah, absolutely. Fluffy Boy taking home the win there in the Rumble for Royalty. I mean, hey, either way you slice it, Monarch's coming out with the dub. So Fluffy Boy improving to 4-3 on the year. Avatar Joe going to drop down to 3-4. Coach, do you have any final words before we send the nice people in chat to a quick commercial break?
No, I think we said it all. It was a great match. It was really fun to call, especially the ending there. That Secret Passage was nuts.
Absolutely nuts indeed. Don't go anywhere. We've got more Hearthstone action on the other side.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Jeez, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable. Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Jeez, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.
Welcome back, everybody, to Week 7 of Hearthstone with the NECC Collegiate. Today, we got one heck of a matchup. I've heard some great things so far, and I'm sure I'll go into my co-caster, Coach Jim here, who's you guys are already affiliated with. He's already been casting today for one of our matches. But for right now, we got Sausage Hero of Pitt State against Bog Nasty from Bay State. So, this is going to be an interesting matchup because Bog Nasty is hitting a Bronze 7 currently within the meta. Meanwhile, Sausage Hero is closer in that diamond area. But when we're really breaking it down and looking at these previous matches, Coach Jim, I know you were just talking to me about how the last matchup was pretty interesting here. So how do you think everything's going to follow up? And go ahead and give me a little in detail review of what just happened.
Well, I mean, in the final match, I mean, we saw a 3-0. It was basically a mirror match. Like the deck lists were basically identical, but we saw. I just blanked at the end there. Rogue v Rogue come out, and it was just nuts. The ending was nuts.
Yep.
But no, talking a little bit about this one though, I like the deck list in this one. I know you were talking about the deck list as we were waiting for the intro, and I'm just waiting to see what gets banned, because I think depending on what gets banned, and I don't think. And our producer's saying something in my ear.
He's talking about the bans, yeah. We are currently looking at the ban games, and both warriors are actually out of the mix, which is actually super interesting because they're on two opposite sides of the spectrum. One of them is a very aggro-based warrior looking at closer to like, the likes of aggro and rage, kind of getting all that base damage down, but while still having in kind of like a mix of larger minions. But meanwhile, the other one was it was actual big warrior. It ran the likes of, was it Commencement? It ran Barricade. It ran a lot of control cards, Brawl, Rattle Gore, and it's really interesting to see that they're both kind of, eliminating a deck from each archetype on opposite ends.
Yeah, and I would not have picked these two decks to ban personally. Some of that is my personal hatred against Druid, which is not to say that Druid's not good. As I'm looking at both sides here, I'm just like, man, this could have been interesting. I wanted to see these two decks, and I'm hoping that my producer picked up on my little shorthand there. And I'm also hoping he's not muted again. If you were here for the last match, our producer was muted at the start of the match, and me and my co-host, Ethan Dolan, we're both having a conversation about the state of the background of his webcam. And all of a sudden, our producer breaks in and goes, "Oh my God, you guys have been live for 60 seconds. Sorry, my mic was muted." So hopefully this time our producer will be able to contact with us as we're going to go into round number 1 here. What do you think we see round 1 here, Mick? Which decks do you think get pulled out?
So far, with the removal of Warrior on both sides, I'm going to go ahead and kind of make bets on whether or not these guys are probably going to be running. I know Sasa, personally, I think she's going to be running the Druid deck, because we see that, it's a Guardian Animal Druid, but it also runs some kind of version of Clown Druid going on here to where you're trying to get off that survival of the fittest, buff up those Carnival Clowns, get a full board of 8/8s on your side, which is extremely hard to remove, and especially getting that warrior out of the mix, you don't have any control means to actually get rid of that. So I can kind of understand where Bognasty's coming from, and like looking at how the archetype can kind of match up and looking at Sasa's bans and how to kind of play against that. But it seems a little bit too much of a setup. So I'm assuming they're going to try and get that deck out of the way, because it's very reliant on those 1 cards, on those couple, deck archetypes, those combo pieces to set up a lethal. But instead here, we're going to be seeing actually a Hunter versus Paladin matchup right off the bat, which I think is going to be pretty interesting, knowing that Sasa's Paladin is a lot slower than your usual pure Paladin, the likes of a Murloc Paladin, which Bognasty's running.
Well, and Sasa having to get rid of a lot of cards there. Their opening hand was just way too expensive. So having to get rid of a lot of cards there. So, but it looks like Bognasty dropped some off as well.
Yeah, and looking at their starting hands overall, I mean, this is kind of really what it comes down to, because especially facing up against a Hunter, Hunter's usually going to have something that plays into your favor. With having so many cheap cards in your hand, just in your deck collectively, and having so many options right off the bat, I fully understand that decision. But, I mean, Sasa, they're going to have to be really concerned here, because they have to break down the fact is they need to find a way to build up armor, build up health, and maintain themselves. And doing a great job here getting those 2 armor vendors right off the bat, that's going to play a huge factor going forward to allow something to exchange and get that board control going down, as well as establishing a little bit more health to kind of dwindle down Hunter's resources before he can even start hitting that health.
Yeah, and that's a really good start there. I'm trying to see on the opposite side. I wish I could see both of them. I wish the board would flop back and forth when somebody was on turn. It's a little hard to read the cards upside down. But I really think Sasajiro has the better hand here.
Yeah, I completely agree, especially if Sasha pulls something fairly, viable in these next coming turns, because right now we do see that they're going to have that armor vendor. You get the red scale in hand, and with Nozdormu, if that gets pulled, that's going to be almost an instantaneous scrapyard, which also allows that Carnival Clown to get popped off. So, understanding and hoping that Sasa can pull off these next couple turns, this is a completely doable turn, especially with having that red scale there to trade into plenty of things. Only issue is that freezing trap's going to come in here, and that's kind of going to be pretty detrimental when you're hoping to go ahead and get that Nozdormu off. And I'm actually surprised Sasa didn't decide to go ahead and opt to throw, that Murgle down, or like another armor vendor to buy him out another turn. But the red scale I purely understand, because you have to get that Nozdormu out. You have to find those combo pieces almost instantaneously, or your deck feels like it's not going to curve like you want it to.
We're talking about that coming out, and we're talking about how everything's going. Card advantage being on the side of Sausagero here. That's not what you want to see if you're Bog Nasty. You want to be able to have a lot more damage coming down. And ooh, snake trap. Good play to get more on the board there.
Wow. That's actually kind of huge, though, with that Nozdormu coming down. That's exactly what Sasa was looking for. And I'm surprised that Bog Nasty here didn't want to follow it with the Trampling Rhino. It being a 7/7, if he traded in every single one of those minions and got that Nozdormu down to, say, like 3 or 4 health, or even 1 at that matter, because he just traded in for the snakes to leave it at 1 health, that would have been excess of 6 damage going towards Sasa to just kind of encourage that aggro archetype that Hunter's running. But instead, not allowing that to happen, not getting damage down while you can, that's where Bog's getting really punished here with the Scrapyard Colossus and his Strongman. So, even next turn, he's going to have that Carnival Clown to throw down. It's just going to absolutely steamroll that board and put so much kind of control and pressure down.
Yeah. And let's be honest, Bog Nasty, they got good damage down. The question is, was it enough? And was it enough soon enough?
Yeah, and I think it really comes down to how that hero player is going to come out and how much they were going to try and opt for there to play off of. The pressure play is going to be coming in. That's probably going to be fairly nice. Issue is the Carnival Clown is already corrupted at this stage of the game, and especially with that Dragon's Bane down, it's going to help out a lot overall, because if he goes ahead and hero powers, it's going to get that 2 damage down, plus with the 3 that's allowed right now, and that's going to get a free clear as we see going on with those Carnival Clowns. I'm sure Bog would have much more opted to try and get that face damage down, create a little bit more pressure overall. But in this stage of the game, you can't really beg for too much, because you're only running with secrets at this stage.
And at this point, Bog Nasty, they're just top decking. That's all they've got. They've got a lot of secrets down, but they're just top decking. And I don't know if top decking is going to be enough.
We look at what's coming up here. I'm completely with you. With that adorable infestation having no card draw so far, I don't really think any of these secrets are worth it. When you look at the likes of an explosive trap, all these Carnival Clowns have 1 or 2 health. Only 2.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The Defiler is a win condition card there, right? You get rid of the Defiler. Your Shears.
Yeah.
That's.
I wouldn't exactly say that's almost a win condition. That's a huge synergy card, I will say. But
I'm just saying, you can clear your board though. If you clear your board and then play that gets you your clowns back, right?
Yeah, it does.
So just massive.
And that's exactly I'm sure that's what Sasa's looking at right now. Issue is that armor's going to take a huge play right now, knowing that Bog Nasty's at almost nothing. When you're facing the likes of a Hunter, say you pulled a kill command next turn, if he had that Marsupial Cub, without that armor overall, that definitely could have been detrimental. So I understand Sasa's play here to play it a little bit slower, take the break this turn, establish a little bit of more of a board, and allow it to where Yashiraj comes in to be almost a saving grace rather than actual reliance. And I think really that's what Sasa's looking at, trying to rely on overall. And, Bog Nasty actually pulling a huge pull right here, the Voracious Reader. But when you look at everything right now, Sasa, he's going to be doing out these trades right now, which is honestly the best move. But when you really break down how much damage he has available to him on board and to play things out right here, over this next turn or two, I feel like it's going to be an easy in right here for Sasa because there's just not enough for Bognassi to work with to actually establish any kind of protection. I mean, he may have 24 health, but that just doesn't seem like enough when you're facing a full 7 minion board.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not going to be enough here.
I mean, the mystery winner, that could be something. That could be an explosive trap, but I mean, the Carnival Clown, and the only things you're really getting rid of is a Bluegill Warrior. You're getting rid of a Carnival Clown, maybe 2 of them right there because of that Divine Shield that Merger's running. I mean, there's all kinds of things right here that's really just not super beneficial overall and doesn't seem to be too game-changing.
Well played.
And that looks like that's going to be the first one. And even that pressure plate's been sitting on the board for a while now. Only thing that would have triggered that would have been Sauce's tip the scales. And I feel like knowing exactly how the board was laid out with that Yashiraj, having, you know, all those minions, having that 10 mana curve right off the bat with that Nozdormu, that was a huge player and a huge beneficial factor to actually putting Sauce into a situation where that game ended, because I feel like without that red scale and without that Nozdormu curve right there to actually utilize that 10 mana, get to that such early stages in the game, I don't think that matchup would have turned out the way we saw it.
I agree. I do agree with that. And it's interesting that we're not going to see that Hunter again. Now we're going to see Paladin on Bog's side.
I will fight with honor. This ends now.
I am intrigued to see how this is possibly going to work because, I mean, Demon Hunter, don't get me wrong, it's a strong archetype. Just the class as a whole is an insane matchup to try and go up against. But, I mean, when you're facing the likes of a pure Paladin, I feel like Bognassi actually has a chance right here. I know we were evaluating the whole, you know, somebody's diamond, somebody's bronze, and, you know, you had that whole kind of skill discrepancy when it comes to the different divisions and leagues and kind of areas of the meta that you're in, because depending on the higher up you get, you're going to run into those higher win rate decks. You're going to be facing the same thing more and more, say, you know, nonetheless. But overall, I feel like when you break it down without having any kind of initial or early-ish kind of lifesteal, especially in the likes of Bognassi when you're facing this Demon Hunter, I mean, even with the buffs in hand, though, having that Libram of Wisdom right off the bat, having that Salhet's Pride, and having a first day of school, there's plenty of trade potential here, especially seeing how they opened up right there, Bog, to get that Crab Rider down to trade out into that Battle Fiend. I mean, the overall, I feel like this is going to be a super huge help going forward, and exactly what, you know, Bognassi's looking for to get that pressure off the board, because Demon Hunter doesn't exactly have as much draw as anybody else does School of Gul'dan, and that's going to be a huge influential factor when breaking down, almost how Bog was sitting last game with his draws.
Yeah, no, and I mean, me and you have talked about it a lot, that having cards in hand just means you have more options, and options usually lead to winning.
Which even then, surprisingly enough, Bognassi has plenty of trades here. Getting that Crab Rider right out for 3 turns. I mean, that's some pretty insane value to have that 2 mana card, that 2 mana minion with Rush and Wind Fury overall. Then on top of that, getting plenty to work with, getting 3 minions traded out with that. I mean, that's kind of insane, especially to have the hand size and maintain that while consistently, and also, you know, getting those trades out overall is just super huge. And, you know, when you still have plenty of other resources to play with, you have another one in hand, you have another buff to follow it up with that Libram of Wisdom. There just seems to be things everywhere right now for Bognassi to play with to actually get in a stage where it seems like he's going to be untouchable. I mean, right now, it seems as if Sousa's only kind of option here would be to use that Dreadlord's Bite after the trade here. I mean, which exactly what they're going to opt for. I mean, albeit that's kind of your only option in this stage. But left with that, you only have 1 minion, and then you have that Wriggling Horror to get that buff off, and that's not going to be enough here to really help anybody out, especially with Bognassi getting this taunt down.
Yeah, no, this gets really rough from here. Even rougher now.
I mean, I'll fully admit, I mean, I remember us talking about it, looking at these deck lineups, seeing how everything would go before we even saw the bans, which is usually a huge influential factor, albeit. So knowing those hunters, or not those hunters, excuse me, those warriors got knocked out of the pool is actually a huge reason they're kind of stuck in this stage, because a lot of people would ban these pure paladins with Demon Hunter, and we wouldn't even get to see this deck, because I remember us talking earlier, looking at how these players kind of matched up and where they stood within the ranking system, being like, oh, okay, Sauce is a diamond player, so this could most likely be a 3-0. But the fact that we're seeing actually this kind of luck come around, this aspect of tradings and all the just overall minion draws and buffs that are coming into play right now is actually insane to see that Bog Nasties could most likely, actually at this stage in the game, most definitely manage to get a win right here.
Yeah, I just think without any cards in hand, Sausagero, if they don't top deck exactly what they need, this one's going to be over fairly quickly.
Yeah, and that only top deck I feel like in this stage of the game would be something like, you know, a Skull of Gul'dan, giving you a bunch of kind of discounts overall, but that would only leave Sasa with 2 mana to play with all those discounted cards, and you can maybe only get 1 or 2 off, and the only ones you really could get off, if you could combo all 3 pieces, the only things that would really be cheap enough would be direct hero attacks, and that just wouldn't be enough, because there's no way. I mean, there goes the Skull of Gul'dan. That's exactly what Sasa needed. But look at these cards here. You see, it just, there's not enough there for Sasa to play with to actually maintain, to flip the board like they wanted to. And I fully understand, you know, that's exactly what you need. But even then, if you pull nothing but hero power, kind of attack-based hero exchanges, that just overall wouldn't have been enough going forward.
And I think these pen flingers might just end the game.
It most definitely, yep, probably with those other 2 pen flingers coming in, having that 4 damage with the 2 from also, you know, the Aldor attendant, that's enough for lethal. It's going to be an easy end right here. Opting for the perfect damage. Okay, I respect it. Most people would want to opt for that second Crab Rider, get that -1, rub it in a little bit, but it's respectable for Bog Nasty to go for that. But
sure.
Overall, you know, I'm just kind of understanding at this point in the game, this is where, you know, this is a stage in the game where matchups feel a lot more forced. Because people start running out of decks, they start running out of options, with both of these players now having 1 round on the board. That's going to be huge going forward, because I mean, you would usually hope to steamroll, sit there and know exactly that your decks are going to play into this opponent while they're trying to get one off. We've seen it time and time again where a player loses a matchup. They're like, oh, well, it's an aggro deck. I just need to run it again and hopefully I get the right hand right off the bat, which we're going to see Bog Nasty running Hunter again right here. Which
It's interesting
how that goes.
We're going to see the 2 losing decks play each other now.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these decks lost to a Paladin. Now we're going to see them go against each other. Sausagero didn't like anything in their hand.
Yeah. And this is actually going to be huge going forward, because at the likes of it, Sasa is going to have nothing but really, I mean, besides Druid going forward, because the aggro warrior archetype is knocked out. So with Druid being the only thing left, and I gotta say, I like the way Sasa's Druid is wound up here. I mean, I gotta say, it's gonna be a Guardian Animal Druid. It's going to have the likes of a Moonfang in it, which I haven't exactly seen yet. Run the Ogremancer, which isn't all that popular, but is increasing popularity right now with how many more spells are kind of being thrown in the meta, especially facing the likes of hunters and things like that that run a lot of spells to generate minions. But if by any chance Bog Nasty wins this, he's going to be running that Warlock deck, which is not what we've been seeing usually, like the likes of a Control Warlock, where you sit there and get those Corrupted Rides, and you sit there and get those free minion destroys, get the Ticketus where you can burn a deck. It's actually a Zoo Warlock, which hasn't been all that influential in this meta so far, but I mean, I gotta say, it's interesting nonetheless to see that some people are still trying to run that.
Yeah, no, and it'll be definitely interesting to see here. I think this one has the chance of being really fun, though, to watch. I think this one could be really interesting. You know,
I do want to point out, though, the fact that Bog Nasty does have a larger hand right now. Issue is when you don't know what Sasa has the School of Gul'dan, which, you know, obviously Sasa's going to be trying to play that Railing Horror. He's going to be trying to play all those next couple cards to get that School of Gul'dan either isolated, because you don't want to play that Stilt Stepper. I mean, you have to play that next card that follows up with it in order to get full value out of it. So overall, I feel like Sauce is going to be trying to play these other cards. Having a lot more card draw just generally in hand is going to play in his favor. And I feel, albeit, depending on what those draws is, that really is what comes down to it. Because if it was just a basic minion or, you know, a hero power, any kind of card that just gives you a little bit of attack or a little bit of board control, it wouldn't be as influential against the likes of a hunter with that explosive trap in hand. But with it being a School of Gul'dan, being a Stilt Stepper, and being a Voracious Reader, I mean, there's plenty of resources to work with here.
Oh yeah, and we've talked about it. I mean, for the past couple of weeks now, being able to have cards in your hand is a huge advantage.
Discounted cards at that. With that School of
Yes.
Gul'dan, that's exactly what that is.
Yes,
And that just makes it
discounted
huge.
cards
Saw
even
last
better.
time. I mean, we even saw it where Sasa, it was technically considered a top deck. I mean, best outcome overall, but it wasn't enough. But just seeing that you had 3 cards that you could play right there off the bat, having only about 2-3 mana left, that's just enough as it is to give you enough combo pieces, especially when you're ahead in board control by some means, which it looks like Sasa could maintain here. If she keeps at least one minion on the board, that will be enough going forward. So having that School of Gul'dan that could give plenty of resources to play with, even if it's not minion control and board control, if it's just hero power getting enough damage towards that face. I mean, Hunter's not usually put into the situation where he's losing, per league terms, a base race. I mean, he usually has enough kind of influence with that hero power, with everything he has in his kit, to actually get all that damage off. But Hunter usually gets thrown off mentally when he's saying, oh, good, like, oh gosh. Like, I'm never usually down in health compared to somebody unless I have my hand in it.
I like the reference there. I like the League of Legends reference there. The base race. I like it.
Which, I mean, I'm a Fiora main, so I'm all for him.
Well, I lost respect for you when you said that. So.
But overall, we are going to see enough out right here. I mean, he could opt for that coin, going for the adorable infestation, which I actually would have kept. No, actually, it wouldn't have kept that tour guide alive. I would have said that would have been really nice to keep that alive, keep some kind of, you know, board control to stick around to help out going forward. But instead, we're going to see possibly the second slice opting in right here because, I mean, keep in mind that Stilt Stepper would be a great shot overall. Something awesome to have on the board, especially when you see that Bognasty doesn't really have any minions or any kind of means of control right now, because that hero power goes immediately to face. But, I mean, that Stilt Stepper would have been nice to get all that damage off, and you have that extra 4 going forward. But, I mean, you have to consider Sasa's shoes right now and figure out, okay, well, how much exactly is there? And now having that Trampling Rhino, that's going to be an easy trade in that Stilt Stepper later if it decides to come down.
An interesting choice to use Voracious Reader there, as they were not able to draw off it at all.
I think it was, I'm kind of with you on that though. I'm very intrigued to see what exactly was the decision behind that, because I mean, obviously, you know, Sasa got the 4 damage off, but you could have held out for a School of Gul'dan, made sure to utilize all those resources you got from hand out of that, and then going forward, you had, you know, the Stilt Stepper, the Voracious Reader going forward to help you a little more in those later stages when you actually start getting exhausted, rather than relying on it. I mean, School of Gul'dan is more of an immediate burst rather than a reliance for cards. And, you know, meanwhile, Voracious is kind of on the other side of the spectrum where you're using it for more of like survival, giving you something every turn to work with. And it's interesting to see that they opted for that earlier to go ahead and get those draws when you can't get that full 3 value out of it.
Although, good gold on their play, because they're going to be able to play a couple of these cards. Maybe combo something off here.
Honestly, I think the Dreadlords may be saved right here. And maybe just the Initiate goes down. Because, I mean, you want to go ahead and get that 1 damage off, obviously. And I think with this going down with the Cult Neophyte, trying to trade into the 7-3 right here, I mean, that's huge because Trampling Rhino just overall is so much damage just passively. Actually, no, I can understand that decision then. Actually getting the value off of it, considering the pack tactics that are coming out for Sasa, overall, that is probably the best play. And
I think if pack tactics wasn't the secret, I think you're right, and he saves it for another round.
Yeah.
I think if there's a difference.
Forward,
yeah.
You know, I feel like overall that pack tactics is obviously huge, especially to get on a card that's going to capacity doing damage to the hero. And when you see that Hunter's throwing out now the Eagle Horn Bow, only issue in this stage is you have a Lore Keeper in your hand. And when you're playing as Sasa here, I mean, I'm kind of intrigued to see. I know what they're going for. Because you see that School of Gul'dan in hand, you know next turn is going to be on the outskirts of your hand. You're going to have 2 mana left in that next turn, allowing you to do something with that and giving you the most expensive cards you got in your deck going forward at a discounted price. And at this stage in the game, I don't know how exactly I would opt for that because Hunter, looking at it, he's not going to be casting all that much in that pressure play. Bognasty
Did he,
right here. He actually throws
did
it out
he
like
not use his hero power before attacking there?
I don't want to say he did.
I don't think he did. Oh, I think
it would be flipped over this turn.
Yeah. And he had the mana for it. Why not?
Yeah. I think it was just really overkill. I think Sasa's just kind of saving time in that regard. I know it's probably 2 seconds, but he's probably trying to make up for that loss of that last round, thinking he was going to maybe 4-0 or something like 3-0 or something like that. Just absolutely demolish him. But, you know, things don't go exactly the way you want them to. I think he's trying to buff out time this stage in the game and say, okay, all right, I know I lost that last one, so let's cut time as quickly as possible. Maybe he's got somewhere to be.
An interesting hand here.
And these are going to be really good going forward.
Oh, this is
the Altruist. Saves this next turn for the Altruist. Runs everything back to back. That's going to be.
I got lucky on that
damage.
pressure plate. Got lucky in the pressure plate.
Yeah.
Killed the weakest minion.
Especially getting that taunt down this turn. And he's going to go ahead. Sauce is opting to get rid of this hand right here, which is actually a super interesting move, albeit because you want to find a way to get as much damage off the board, off of your minions out of your hand. And with Altruist, you're only going to draw 2 cards with that Voracious Reader. Meanwhile, you had, and that's going to cost more mana overall. So to not go ahead and utilize those 0 cost mana cards this turn rather than last turn, I understand getting your board established, but Hunter's going to have an explosive trap. So that's a lot of kind of wagering going on right there.
With the outcast there though, there's some straight damage possible.
There will be 2 damage, I will say, but you know,
To
I'm
everything.
still trying to break
To
it
everything,
down.
which gets rid of some minions.
But he just has lethal right here, even with the freezing trap. I feel like that's exactly what Sauce is going for, is getting all that face damage down because he has 9, see 13, 14 with the weapon 16. That's gonna be plenty of damage.
Options though, and that's what we talk about. We talk about the options, and having options is never a bad thing.
And going forward, though, that's going to leave Sasa with only this Guardian Animal Druid coming up. So, do you believe, looking at the 2 archetypes that Bognasty's running, do you feel like knowing he's going to face this Guardian Animal Druid kind of combination going on here, do you feel like he's going to opt by any means to actually, you know, throw down the Zoo Warlock, or do you feel like he's going to stick to the Hunter and say, all right, I've had 2 bad rounds. This is a good deck. I'm going to try and reverse this, go back around to it again and play it once again and hopefully have some success with it.
I think they go to the Warlock. You've had the Hunter out there twice. It has not worked. You know you have to win with it eventually. But I think you throw the Warlock.
Yeah.
I think you got to get the loss out of your mind.
Yep.
Because remember, he went Hunter and lost when Paladin won, went Hunter and lost. Okay, so now you go Warlock and win, and then you got, you know, 1 more game to kind of get your mojo back on the Hunter.
3rd time's the charm, right?
I throw the Warlock. I right here throw the Warlock.
All right, I'll take your odds with that. And we do see it. Okay. I honestly kind of wanted to debate there for a second because when you look at the matchup here, Warlock is obviously going to have a lot of early pressure and have things to kind of establish himself on board. Issue is there's not you have to always wait a turn to get that damage off. Meanwhile, I was thinking about.
I think we lost Mick there. My producers don't let me know if I'm still on the air. Mick trying to come back here. All right, so Mick's trying to come back, folks. So
I apologize.
we will see what is going on.
Are we good here? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can't see you though, Mick.
Oh, okay.
But at the moment, we're looking at the board anyway, so nobody else can know. So if I don't know if Mick can see the board, Flame Imp was played first.
I can most definitely see the board, and I can tell you that not really enough is happening here so far. I mean, what is it? Sauce's hand doesn't exactly look all that exorbitant. And then especially when you're looking at Bog Nasty, he's going to have a lot of early pressure here just going into these next couple turns.
Yep. And just coming straight at it. Coming straight at it here is Bog Nasty. No waiting.
Which, you know, to continue on the previous point just mentioning, I'm surprised because, like I said earlier, when you're facing the likes of a Zoo Warlock or where you're running that, he's going to already be pinging himself down some health. That doesn't really make all that big of a difference going forward and really, you know, considering how much damage is going to be done by turn 8. But Hunter is going to have a lot more resources to actually control the board, get those freezing traps off. Hopefully, by the time the guard animal druid comes out, by the time any of those minions come down, to really stop some of that pressure. And also, you know, you're getting all that damage off instantaneously rather than waiting a turn for it with the likes of Zoo Warlock. So it's interesting to see he went for this kind of matchup. But, you know, if he sits there and survives somehow until turn 8, goes ahead into the game by then, which seems totally possible. I mean, maybe not with this Thresher down. That's going. I mean, the board positioning is great here with him putting that Void Walker on the edge to allow that Thresher to not exactly get 3 minions, only get 2 off. I mean, that's great board positioning. But actually, okay, I understand this. Then using that Flesh Giant especially as a wall to make sure that the Flame Imp isn't taken off next turn as well. I feel like this is a great decision. I mean, albeit in kind of rear view, I was questioning, but at this stage in the game, this is exactly what Bog Nasty needs going forward.
Is that it? Is it over? I think
most definitely is.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there we go. Easy game. Easy game there, Mick.
Back and forth here, baby.
Like I said, Warlock comes out, you win with Warlock, and then we end up with Druid Hunter. Easy game here, Mick.
Yeah, this could literally be the 3rd time's the charm. I mean, we've seen Bog Nasty
easy play
every time. It's a weird kind of pattern we're seeing here.
And we were talking about the disparity in rank, and this would be huge if Bog Nasty pulled this one off.
Especially going forward, which, I mean, at this stage in the game, Sasa didn't get their full board out. They didn't get to utilize everything. With the Innervate right up front, there is more to work with. Maybe trade out that Strongman, get something going forward to kind of help do it a little bit more, get that curve kind of implemented into your hand. Because
I think this is bad. I think unless he gets a really good draw here, I think this is bad for Sasajiro though.
Yep.
That's not what they want. Oh my god. Bog Nasty gonna have
5 or more. If he gets enough damage
man. This could get dirty.
That charge. Oh no.
This could get super dirty. If it ends early, Bog Nasty's gonna take it. If it ends early, Bog Nasty takes it.
And when we consider what just got thrown down here, this, you know, this imprisoned Felmaw.
Oh my god.
2 turns.
Oh my god.
Turn 4. And that's not going to be enough by that stage to actually have another minion on the board. Because this turn right here, Sasa has to have something down in order for that Felmaw to attack it. But even with the Innervate, he would have to go ahead and pop down the Innervate and
what's the
secret? Coin to even give something.
Pack Tactics. Oh man. Pack Tactics. That's a really good one for Bog Nasty right now.
Okay, so yeah, he didn't offer anything to get thrown down. That's going to be put at 21. Oh my goodness. This is huge.
Oh my god, everything he's drawing, everything. Look at his hand. 5, 8, 5, 9, 8, 9. Like the 2 zeros don't matter because there's just more mana, and there's not gonna be enough mana there for. Oh my god, this is disaster.
Yeah, there's at least throwing down that hero power. I'm surprised they didn't opt for the Blazing Battle Mage right there, getting more instantaneous kind of pressure down, because you're still not going to be able to maintain to grab that Guardian Animal yet. You know, you're not going to have enough for it. This Guidance, I mean, that would be enough right there. I mean, that could definitely help, but that's not going to be enough, especially when you go opt for a Mark of the Wild. I mean, you have to get something, you have to get a minion down for that, and you don't have anything on board yet. Meanwhile, Bog Nasty's just bullying right now.
And this is going to get worse before it gets better. And they're going to be able to get the
Oh my
voracious.
God.
They're going to get the voracious reader out there too.
Oh
So they're going to
my
get more
God.
draw. Just everything coming up Millhouse right here for Bog Nasty.
Then 11 health. Now this is going to be the first turn that Sasa is able to run something. Now I understand this play. This is actually fairly good. If Sasa just utilizes this, doesn't attack with it, risk the freezing trap or anything, especially running those buffs onto Moonfang, he's going to have enough hits available there to allow it to survive, being it only takes 1 damage at a time.
But
So
here's the
that's
problem.
6 hits.
If it attacks anything, it's bad.
I think Sasa's smart enough to say he probably shouldn't do that. But, you know, when you break it down, even then, that has to be able to stand somehow for 2 turns.
Oh, that's I like it. I like it. Does the copy get it? The copy gets, oh my God. Perfect draw there. Could you have drawn a better card?
Okay, so this is actually, I will say, in Sasa's defense, this is entirely possible. I doubt he's going to trade here with the Voracious Reader. He's going to go ahead and keep that card draw out. Possibly not go for the Epheal Mob because he wants to go ahead and trade in these little Marshall Cubs next turn. But with this Anubiseth, I guarantee that's probably what's going to come down this turn. Yep, because need some kind of risk right here, something to survive. Issue is, the Innervate's already been thrown down. That coin's already been thrown down, so that means there's 2 more turns being waited out here for that Guardian Animals, instead of being able to get it off this turn.
Yeah. And here you go.
Oh my
Here you go.
That's lethal. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Go for it. Big time it.
Oh my God.
And third time. Third time's the charm, my friend.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Everyone doubted me. Everyone doubted Coach
He mentioned
Jim.
the name for himself today. Okay.
Everyone doubting Coach Jim's prediction on that one.
I mean, I didn't doubt it, but I will say it seemed doubtful. It definitely seemed against the odds, but
haters gonna hate.
Yeah.
Haters are gonna hate. But no, great play there out of Bog Nasty. The Druid, it just played too slow, and in that final game, Sausagero was drawing dead. They literally, everything they drew, it's like, that doesn't help me. That doesn't help me. That doesn't help me. I have cards in this deck that cost less than 8. Where are they?
Yeah.
Everything they drew was massive.
Oh man.
They needed 3 more turns. If that game had gone 3 more rounds, Sausagero would have won, hands down. They had everything they needed.
Yeah, and it was mostly off the fact that there was so much board pressure there, because with Hunter having, I mean, that Moonfang could have been enough. It could have just sat there, without the buff or anything, utilizing those 2 mana buffs in order to sit there, those 2 extra crystals, to give it that Mark of the Wild, to give it that +2 health, to utilize those more minion hits. But the fact there was so much board pressure there, I mean, that's when all those trades came into play. That's where it was just constant bullying, and it was just more spells out there. I feel like Sasa would have been looking fine, but with just nothing but minion draws that were giving you more and more resource to play with, even just refreshing your hand with that Voracious Reader and all kinds of things going on there. I mean, that's really what tipped the scales.
And really, like, with all the secrets they had played, none of the secrets ever got triggered. But with all the secrets they had, Sausagero could not attack them.
Yep.
Because if they spent all of their mana pool to play one of those big minions, the freezing trap was going to throw it away if you attacked the hero. And if you attacked any of the minions, it was going to be disaster. The board was going to be more crowded than a bus at rush hour.
Yeah, I think that's exactly like and it all comes down to what I usually mention with those aggro archetypes. These guys are going to have to sit there and mulligan somehow and get those perfect draws right off the bat, because there's really no time to curve when you're trying to put all that pressure on the board so early. I mean, like we said, third time's the charm. Bog Nasty finally got around to getting those draws he needed to get that early board pressure, throw all those minions down, get all those secrets down, just absolutely flood everything. And in that stage of the game, it just fell over, and Sasa was just trying to live turn to turn.
And it just wasn't quite enough. Mick, did you have anything else for this one, or were we going to call it a night here?
I think that was really all we had for today. We sat there. It was 2 3-0s before we came around to this, and we were kind of excited. So it was a nice little ender, a nice little celebration there at the end, a wild card if you be. But overall, I think that's going to be it for us for this week. We have gone down to 3 games, unfortunately, for all of you who are those diehard Hearthstone fans. So I'm on the same kind of page. I'm kind of disappointed myself. But overall, we will be back next week, same time frame, 6, 7, and 8 to sit there and, get more games in. And we'll see, all these guys come back. And y'all sit there to make sure and follow us on the social media to see our player of the week, because we will be showing that. We will be highlighting these players and showing which one of them performed probably the best for what is it. And because Bog Nasty definitely has a case for himself now, taking down the likes of a Titan of Sasa overall. So everybody be on the lookout for that. And thank you for joining us for week 7 of Hearthstone here on NECC.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Jeez, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.